All right, what's up, YouTube? Today, let's build uh, our own app for the OpenAI App SDK. And I think it's kind of confusing, if we were to just jump straight in the code. So I think I might as well explain how it works first, and then we can go build and see how it works in the code. Okay, so this is the structure for one sort of cycle of the app SDK. So obviously things start on ChatGPT, and the user will reference the app and then some query. And so then the LLM will do a tool call to the MCP server that we build as normal. And then instead of just returning a MCP tool response, which is just like JSON, a list of songs or whatever, it returns also a reference to a resource. And this is what a resource looks like. So see they have the same URI here. And that returns this little snippet of HTML. And then OpenAI knows how to render this snippet of HTML because that is basically what they've published in the Apps SDK is basically what this should look like and what this should do. So then they render that within an iframe. And so then now the user can see the UI. And so this UI can also call tools and that restarts the cycle, or the user can ask another question and that calls another tool and restarts the cycle. So that's what's going on in an app for the App SDK. Um, so there's kind of three things going on. There's ChatGPT, there's the MCP server that you're building, and there are the widgets that you're building that will be rendered in the iframe. Okay, so now that we kind of know how that works, let's look at some code. So this is what um, a repo might look like based on the docs. And so the main idea is that you have two things. You have the widgets and the HTML or the React, and then you have your MCP server. So this is just a regular MCP server in Node. And the main thing that you're doing is defining tools and resources like we just saw. And then also you have all of these widgets. And so every widget itself is a self-contained sort of React component that will compile to vanilla.js. And so it's mounting on some root. Um, and it's completely independent of all the other widgets. So we compile them into this assets directory. And so you're referencing pizzazz.html when you return. So like that, let's see. Um, okay, what? There we go. So let's see. Playlist.js is basically referencing one of these JS files that we would have. So that's kind of how things are look more specifically. So then let's look at what I built already, and maybe we can do some more. Okay, so here's an MCP server that iterates through all of the widgets I have in widget.ts. And then basically just has a server with all of those tools, and then it handles all of the requests. So I have two things running. If I do pm dev, I have two things running. I have the MCP server, and then I also have the static files that are being hosted on this, um, which kind of goes back to the picture where it's like there's two different things that we're building that talk to ChatGPT. So let's maybe demo how this works. Um, I'm using this to be able to see the widgets. Um, Great. So this is what the widget looks like, and then this is a client that is implementing the same thing as ChatGPT. So maybe we give a shot at creating another widget. All right, let's see. So to create a new widget, first you would basically add something in here. All right, let's see. I don't know what I should do. Um, let's do sports scores. Yeah, okay. That sounds good. Great. So basically, I'm just defining how to do this sports widget. And so now this is referencing this URI. So I need to create the widget that this will reference. Okay. So everything has an index. Oops. So let's copy this, right? And let's make, so this just mounts the app into the sports scores root. And so let's do something super simple. Um, oops. Um, uh, yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know what we're doing here. Good. Okay, this needs to be app because this is app. Okay, so why don't we just see if that works? Okay, so first we need to build this. So this is going to compile this and put it in the assets directory. Uh, yeah, here we go, here we go. Um, there we go. There are the sports scores things that we will use in the widget. And now let's run both the static files, host the static files, and the MCP server. Great. Okay. Okay, so now you can see that there is a sports course tool. Let's put something, well, this right. Hey, there we go. Okay, cool. So this is working. So now you can basically just build whatever UI you want, even using Tailwind, um, and really just make things look like sports scores. Um, and look at that. Nice. It's the pizza logo from OpenAI. Okay, cool. So that's really the workflow that you would do. You'd build out this widget with the UI. You would um, then compile it, and then your MCP server will return the UI. And so there's more advanced things that you can do using. Okay, yeah. So this is important. So this is what OpenAI provides. The SDK itself is really just how do you implement the window.openai and all the things that it gives you. So these files were all created by OpenAI, but I think everyone's going to be using them as functionally the SDK before there's a real public package. Um, so this is the defined API. Right. Somebody wrote that. So then you can basically use all these things. You can use call tool. You can request a display mode, and you can do all of these things to manipulate the way ChatGPT renders that iframe, and you can talk to things outside of the iframe. It's kind of a bridge that lets you talk or get kind of some of this data out. from your isolated iframe. So I don't really feel like doing that right now, but I think those are all the building blocks that you would use to build an app. Okay, cool.